Hello everybody, welcome to Tool Talk Tuesday. As you're coming in, say hello, let me know that you're here. Hello Rhonda. Hey Becky. Yay. Hello Melissa Rose. And Pat is here. Hello and welcome. And Trisha's here. Hello. I've got a lot on my desk for you guys today. It is a super messy desk. Thank you, Melissa, for pouring the coffee. Greatly appreciated. I'm going to give just a few more minutes just to make sure everybody's here that wants to be here. Let's start off first by saying who has a die cutter? Oh, hello, Mary. Welcome. Please make sure you hit those little dots that are up here. Tap your screen, hit the dots, and hit save and favorite and all that good stuff to like and follow so that you will be able to know when I am here in the future. But every Tuesday at 11:30, so Pacific Standard Time, which is right now, I do a Tool Talk Tuesday. It's not always on die cutters. Last week we did some paper trimmers, and the week before that we did a crocodile. So we'll just be chatting about tools on Tuesdays, and then sometimes I go live with other paper crafts that I'm doing, a lot of junk journals, fun projects that I've been making and working on. So we have a lot of fun here. Welcome. All right, looks like Pat says she has many die cutters. Rhonda has some die cutters. There's another Mary watching. Hello and welcome. All right, well, I think we're going to get started. Excuse my chaos. I do work well in chaos, okay? I wanted to bring out several different things to talk to you guys about today. So I have this huge jumbly mess, but don't worry, we'll work through it. And it does all make sense once it starts to unravel. Hello, Sue. Welcome. Okay, so I guess the first thing I should start off by saying is I am not endorsed or an ambassador or trained even by any of these companies. I solely represent myself as a crafter and a previous store owner. I've been using die cutters for, I don't know, 17 or 18 years probably, maybe even more. I don't know. Been a long-time crafter of like 25 years, so all of the information that I'm giving you today, some of it comes from their websites, some of it comes from my own experience and just using these die cutters and watching a lot of other people use these die cutters. I've done a lot of classes. I've taken a lot of classes just for scrapbooking and so forth, not by Sizzix or anything specifically trained with these machines. But I've watched a lot of people try to use these, and I've seen them used poorly. I've seen them used wonderfully. I've seen a lot of things, guys. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is some terminology. It sounds pretty basic, but even in my YouTube video, it was the first thing I covered, and it makes the most sense for me to talk about that first before we get into it. Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a great refresher on the tools. And a lot of times when we get new tools, we don't read the packaging. I'm guilty. I just toss that aside and I'm excited to get right in. But you know what? Some of this packaging has some good information in here. So that's what we do on Tool Talk Tuesday. We get the tool out and we talk about it, and we answer some questions. We go over the details. We just talk about it. Because a lot of times when you don't have a place to talk about things, you'll have some kind of frustration that may be easily fixable. Maybe you're just doing one little thing that you need to do differently, and it could be a game changer for your crafting. So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between the terminology here. So this is the die cut, the paper pieces or the material, the shapes that your machines make, okay? So this is the die cut. This is the die. It can look differently. It can look like this is a die, and this is a die, and these are dies, but these are the dies. So these are what make the shape that you're trying to cut. And it kind of sounds a little premature, like we're going back to kindergarten, right? But that's the deal. We got to go back to the basics and make sure we get the terminology right. I remember when I first started die cutting, I was trying to buy things on eBay and trying to buy things used, and somebody had listed a whole bunch of die cuts, 50 cents each. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've hit the jackpot. No, it was these. I thought I was getting these. So this is the die. This is the die cut. And your machine that you're using is the die cutter. So keep those things in mind as we move along. And sometimes even the most seasoned people, I'm guilty, I will use the wrong terms. I'll call this a die cut instead of a die. So it can get a little confusing. So just make sure you keep that in mind. And if you don't know specifically, like if you are purchasing something, ask them, is this a die cut, like made out of some sort of product, or is this the actual die? Just to clarify, make sure you're on the same right page, because sometimes you do just want to buy die cuts. But more often than not, most of us are looking for dies. So let's get into this. I am mostly a Sizzix girl. Way back in the day when I first started die cutting, you were either Sizzix or Quick Cuts. Sizzix has been around via Ellison since 1977. I don't know exactly when Quick Cuts came along, but really the difference was this. Let me see, where's the little one? The difference is, whoops, nope, where'd it go? Okay, well, the difference is this, you can see it, but when Quick Cuts first came around, these were their die cuts, and they're made of metal, and they were tiny. Hey Sharon, good. Do you know what kind of Sizzix machine you got? See, there we go. That's just to point it out. She said with 11 die cutters. Nope, she got 11 dies. So the terminology again. So we've got dies. The machine itself is the die cutter, and the paper or the material that it cuts is the die cuts. So you will see us all do this, and it's really confusing to new users. So just pay attention to that. That is a great deal though, 25 bucks, depending on which one you got. I always say to check Marketplace, and that's another benefit of doing these Tool Talk Tuesdays, is that you'll get to see some of the used equipment, older equipment, my used equipment, that you can't necessarily buy in the stores anymore. So you can at least know their worth and their value, if you can still use them, that kind of thing, before you head out to Marketplace or even garage sales or thrift stores, everywhere you can find these things. So again, back in the day, you were either a Sizzix person. It's got a lever. Okay, good. So it's probably a big shot. I'll show you mine here in a few minutes, and we'll see if it looks like yours. Or even a big kick. Sizzix has all kinds of they're a big deal, guys. They're just big. Okay. And you can see, that's my point here too. When Sizzix came along, they were these big dies. The red, yellow, green, and blue are their originals dies. This is kind of their core product library. This is what it was in the beginning. And actually, even before that, Ellison was partnered with AccuCut. And AccuCut had like the letterpress and so forth, those big wooden steel cut dies, steel rule dies that you used to see in schools, like the really big ones. They still make those, AccuCut, and they make like AccuQuilt and all kinds of cool things. They are a lot more money from what I have seen, the AccuQuilt, because you're getting that wood, and I don't even want to know what it would be with today's markup on wood. But anyways, yeah. So in the beginning, you were either Sizzix or you were Quick Cuts, kind of like you're either Coke or Pepsi or Apple or Android. It really was that separated. And the two didn't really mingle. I mean, you can't cut. I mean, you can already see this die is not going to fit this cutter. And then, I don't know what year or whenever, but like somebody figured out, hey, my Sizzix machine could cut out this kind of a die. And so that's what they did. They changed the Sizzix machine. It went from, I thought I had a picture of it. It went from the red one that has this big handle on the top that you clamped down, and for these big dies you had to clamp it 2 times because the bar was only this big. So you had to clamp it once, then move it and clamp it again and hope your paper didn't move, because sometimes you might get a wonky cut if you did that. So then it went to a machine called the Big Shot. And it looks a lot like this one. Let's see. There we go. Pink and black. I've had a couple of different ones over the years, mostly because I've gotten, you know, as time goes on, you evolve. So do the companies. Tim Holtz says, when you know better, you do better. So you know, you upgrade, and that's what we do. Quick Cuts did it too. This was their first original, what they call a squeeze. You know, it does the 2x2 dies and 2x2 embossing plates, and you have to squeeze it. It did have like a little resting mat, so you could set it on the table and you could press it. Let's see. Hey Loretta, what comments am I missing? Yeah, you used the Quick Cut dies in your Big Shot. Got some of those flat dies at Tuesday morning. Nice. Okay. See, as time has gone on, things have totally evolved. And, you know, things are way more interchangeable now. So this is what it used to be like for Quick Cuts. You had this little cradle, is what they call it. And you had pocket dies, and they fit. These are magnetized, so your die just clips right in there. Obviously not this big die. I have their littler ones. I thought I got one out, but I didn't. These are super easy to use. It really does just magnetize in there. And you put your paper in there. It's used for single paper only. So one piece of paper at a time. And then you just squeeze and it makes a cut. So in your shape. And single paper only. So when you're considering a die cut machine, that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. What size do I work with? What material do I want to be able to cut? Not meaning fabric, but like, do you want to cut paper? Do you want to cut chipboard? Do you want to cut vellum? Do you want to cut fabric? Do you want to cut foil? I mean, what's your plans? Do you plan to just make some cards? Do you plan to make some tags? Do you plan to do something really big? Do you just want some cute little shapes? Do you want shapes to go with your stamps? Like what do you want? So these are Quick Cuts. We're just going to talk about them real quick, okay? These were the squeeze tools. This one was the first one. This one was the upgraded one. They made this in pink, and they made it in purple, and then this one is in black. Some of the differences, you can obviously see just easily the size. They made the handle a little longer. They put this up here. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not from any of these companies, so I don't know exactly their reason for the design changes on some of these things, but it is nice to have this little bumper up here, and the handle's a little longer, so for leverage, that's nice. And then it also came with a cradle as well, so you can sit on the table and you can just press your images out. So that was great, but you know, for some of us, a 2x2 die is just not enough. I mean, if you're making some cute little cards or cute little clusters on your scrapbook pages, that's great. You could do some lettering, and that's great. You could emboss some things real limited space-wise, and you know, that's great too. But if you want to do something bigger than that, well, you need a bigger machine. So I don't know around what year it was, but then they came out with the Revolution. And it really was a revolution for quick cuts. It's actually a very sleek little machine. I love it. It's not very heavy. I'm guessing about, I don't know, 3 or 4 pounds. And it came in this fancy little box, so I always felt like when I was carrying it around to the crops that I was going to like the casino with money or something. I know it sounds silly, right? But I've got my prized Revolution. But it really was awesome because it upgraded their 2x2 dies to this size. I think it's 4x4. And their platform here is magnetized, so this is nice if you're doing it like this. If you are using your other dies, like Tim Holtz dies, the Thinlits, it is nice to have this platform. You can actually even get an extended platform. I forget how long it extends it to, guys, but they are still available. I don't think they're making this Revolution machine anymore because Quick Cuts was bought out by Lifestyle Crafts, which I believe is American Crafts if you really look into it. But they go by Lifestyle Crafts. So when that happened, a lot of the designs changed. You know, some still great designs. Change is hard for some people. I think change is, I think I'm one of those people that some change is just really hard, especially at a time when the scrapbook industry was dying and I was a scrapbook store owner. So, you know, all these companies were merging or closing, and it was just a really scary time. So change was a little hard to deal with then. And some of these companies that bought some other companies, I mean, they kind of saved them, but they changed the products. And, you know, maybe like crepe paper. I love crepe paper. It's one of my favorite scrapbooking papers. And they were bought out by American Crafts, and they changed everything I loved about crepe paper as a crepe paper. So yes, it's still available, but it's not like it was before, if that makes sense. Rachel, you said you've heard about this but never seen one. Heard about which one? This, I have to tell you guys, this has become my favorite unit. Still true to Quick Cuts history, you cannot use these in here. It just simply doesn't fit. You can only use the metal Thinlit dies. Now, that being said, it doesn't limit you to just Quick Cuts brands, because this is Tim Holtz, which is made by Sizzix. So, and there's so many other companies that do these Thinlit dies now. I know Stampin' Up! Does them. A lot of companies do them to match with their stamps, because then you can stamp your image and use the die cut to cut out the shape. And that is really nice. Oh, this one. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. This one, honestly, is my favorite because a lot of what I cut is these. It sits on my desk and it doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not very heavy. I love the magnetized platform. And then, ooh, excuse me. The, wow, my cutting mat is about due for replacement. I was trying to tell a friend the other day who got a brand new cutter, and she's got her little clear acrylic sandwich going on in there, and it's cracking and popping, and she's like, oh, it's getting cuts on. I'm like, yeah, they will do that. So you pretty much won't have a cutting plate that doesn't get marred up or cracks and pops. Some of them will bend. There are some tips and tricks to make it not do that, but they will all get marred up with use. It's like having, I call them battle wounds, because then I can see how much they've battled. Okay, so this is a Revolution. It is a crank machine, so there's no more of that squeezing or pressing. It is nice. I think in its prime, I paid, I think, $100, but now, like I said, I don't think they're on the market anymore for like brand new sale, unless if you find somebody who's had one and hasn't used it. But I think I've seen them on Marketplace for in the $30 to $40 range. The biggest thing with those, this is called the Quick Cuts Revolution. Hi Gail, no worries, you're welcome here. This one is the Quick Cuts Revolution. The biggest thing if you're getting them used is to just make sure it still cranks. My husband had this one taken apart the other day because my crank was, thank you Shauna, welcome. My handle was coming loose, and then this platform is actually replaceable because you can get the bigger extended platform. So if you get a used platform and it has some cuts on here, you're not supposed to cut on the platform, but you know, hey, sometimes we turn them the wrong way and it does cut on there on accident. I've done it, my kids have done it, people in my store have done it, so mine would get a little marred up here and there, but it still works perfectly. You can still get replacement acrylic mats, and it just needs one. So that's also what's nice about this unit, is you don't have to worry about a sandwich. I'll explain what a sandwich is later, but you don't have to worry about what plates do I need, what sandwich do I need, what order do I need. And the reason for that is because you only use thin metal dies. So it is kind of limiting if you have no interest in doing any of these bigger dies, and Tim Holtz has a whole collection of these bigger dies, and even bigger dies. Like there's big, and then there's like super big. Tim Holtz is like, go big or go home, right? So if you have no interest in doing any of those, he does make, like I said, he's got a full collection of thinlits dies that will work in this. This machine is great for you. I love, like I said, I love that I can take it wherever I need to go. It sits on my desk. It doesn't take up a ton of space. I can even use it while I'm watching TV because you just put them all on there. They're magnetized already. Good to go. Yeah, I like this one a lot. It cranks easily. It makes really nice cuts, and yeah, can't really say enough about it. That's good. Other than, like I said, I don't think you can buy them brand new on the market anymore, and you cannot use these bigger Sizzix dies. That's kind of been Quick Cuts like stance all along, is that they want you to just use their dies, which makes sense, right? I mean, if you're a die cutting company and you're selling die cuts, well, I want to make it so people can just use my die cuts. But Sizzix said, you know, hey, I want people to be able to buy my machines because they want to die cut. I want them to be able to do all kinds of things. So they made a new machine after their red machine. Red was like the originals. The originals were red, and that was like that clamp down machine. You know, it was fun in its day. My kids knew how to use that machine. They did more die cutting than I think they ever wanted to do. In there, the first way that Sizzix was making it so that you could use other dies was with this awesome adapter, and this thing is kind of heavy. It's called a system converter. So hi Mariah, I was just talking about you guys and all of the die cutting that you did. Mariah's my older daughter, and she did her share of die cutting, that's for sure. Some because she wanted to, and some because she had to. So this system converter would plug right in, its magnet, it would plug right into the old red machine, and it made this thick, like massive shim, and would make it so you could do some of the smaller dies, the metal dies, and you could also do their sizzlets. And this is 3 of them. So you can see, you know, if you're trying to cut this die on the regular machine, you're gonna need something to press in there to get down to a die this size. So that was how they created this. Then after that, as time went on, then they created a different machine altogether. No more clamping, which was great. But instead, you get to crank. And it seems like that's how most of the companies went. Provocraft, which makes the Cricut, they made a Cuttlebug. I have one, guys, but I don't know where it is, so I can't show it to you today. But I did talk about it in my YouTube video, Manual Die Cutting 101, so it is there. Now this is the big shot. this one, you know, in my YouTube video, I said I don't have a big shot anymore because I evolved and I got rid of it. Well, then not long after that, I went to a garage sale and this was $3, and I couldn't pass it up because it is such a great machine. And in case if my other one dies, which it kind of is, I have a backup plan. So, and $3, guys, $3. Okay, just saying, $3. So, fortunately, I kept my multi-purpose platform from before. And what's so good about having a platform is that you need to make sandwiches when you use this kind of a die cutter. And a sandwich means that you've got your platform and you have your cutting plates. Now these ones are the wrong cutting plates obviously for this, but so you'll put your platform down, you'll put your cutting plate down, you'll put your paper or whatever you're cutting, your die cut, and then you'll put this on and it makes a sandwich and you go through. Yay, Linda, this is what you have. Awesome. A lot of people have a Big Shot. It was really popular when it first came out, and it has stayed true to you know, the tests of time. It's still a good unit. They've made a couple after this. Actually, I think there was one right before this called the Big Kick. Then there's the Big Shot. There's the Big Shot Plus. There is the Big Shot Foldaway, and there's the Big Shot Express. There are some differences with all of them, not just price, but some of it's what, again, what you can do. So with this one, you can cut everything in their library except for the Bigs Plus and the Bigs Pro dies. So those are super big. This guy is 7.5 pounds though. So it's not something you want to be lugging around often on your desk. For the Red Clamp one, you do not do a sandwich. The old Sizzix Red Clamp one, it comes with one of these guys that looks just like this. So it just looks like a little cutting mat. So you put that down first, then you put your paper that you're cutting and your die, and you put it right under the spot where it clamps. And then the thing comes down and smashes it, and that's how it works when you clamp it. So no sandwich really, you just have your cutting mat, your paper, and your die. Done. So that is one good thing about that. It's pretty easy, not very confusing, and the only part that is a struggle is, so you know, it's about this big, the clamp surface. So this one works great for it. The blue ones were all of their letters. So this is what they called an alpha bar. They also have alphabets, just in singular letters. Hey, Miss Gigi's Craft Room, TC in the house. So you can see that if you have this much of a clamping surface, these fit in there quite nicely, no problems, good to go. They made these yellow ones. Thank you for spreading the kisses. This one is about as big as you could go in that red first Sizzix machine with one clamp. And still sometimes I'd probably give it 1 or 2 clamps, but it's in the same spot to press out your pattern. It doesn't roll through. Nope, there's no rollers. It just comes down and squishes. That's correct. So the thing that is a challenge is when you've got one of these dies, which still will work in that red machine. You just have to be a little more aware and think about it a little differently. So you've got your cutting platform, your paper, and then your die, right? And here is your clamping surface. So you can see it's only going to clamp half of it at once. So you're going to press down, and then you're going to move the bottom. So move your cutting mat just slightly, and then clamp it again to do this other half of the red die. So that's how you do the bigger dies on the first original Sizzix machine, the one that comes down as a clamp. It doesn't have the crank, and it doesn't have rollers. Now, one nice thing to say about the Sizzix machines that did come after that red machine is that they are all made with steel core parts, steel rollers, steel gears, and this is according to their website, but I have also experienced really good customer service from them. I had a customer who broke my crank. It yeah, I don't know what happened, but I contacted them and they sent me a new replacement crank. Nope, no problem. I was simply asking them if I could buy one because, I mean, my customer broke it, right? And they just simply sent me a new one. So their customer service is great. I know if you buy a new machine, according to their website, because they still sell their machines right on their website, you get a 1-year warranty for your machine. If you register the machine, you get an extra 2 years, so a total of 3-year warranties. I don't believe it costs anything, just a little time to register your machine. Okay, so let's chat about this Big Shot. Why is the Big Shot a big deal? Well, with this platform, it tells you how to make your sandwiches. Sandwich sounds good about now, guys. It's lunchtime here. Not this kind of sandwich, though. Okay, so this tells you if you want to, yeah, see, this platform was used for the Big Kick or the Big Shot. And this says how to use those wafer thin dyes. And wafer thin is what they call the metal dyes. Now, Sizzix makes wafer thin dyes. Of course, I just showed you Tim Holtz ones. And the cool thing about those is they are steel ruled dyes. They're chemically etched. And they have a lot of different designs to choose from. A lot. So they call it their product library, and it's massive. Yes, I'll show you the small one in a minute. It's a Sidekick. Okay, so with these, you do have to learn the sandwiches. So if you want to cut these dies, you need your platform on this tab. And the platform has different tabs that you can use because it makes a shim. Basically, the way that they used to do the shims were these little plastic things, which if you have the Sidekick machine, you might still have some of these because that's how you do them. What did I do with them? Boy, guys, sorry. Okay, well, it looks a lot like having, it looks a lot like this. It was just plastic. So it was a shim, and it's just like a spacer so that you could add space between your die and your material to cut out a good image. Okay, so if you're gonna cut this wafer thin die, you need this platform. You need a cutting pad. Obviously, this is a baby one, so you wouldn't use this one. So your cutting pad, then your die face up. See how it shows you the image is up? Then you need your paper. And then you need your other cutting pad. And then you roll the whole thing through. And it's gonna pop and clank and crack and make all kinds of fun noise. That when you're a first-time die cutter is a little alarming, but it is okay. And then you have your image. And you can see it makes an impression on your cutting pads. It's a Crayola box, and it left its little lines right there. So, flower die for the Red Clamp one. Yes, so you want to look for originals dies. Those will be easiest. There are a ton of green. This is bubbles. There's a ton of flowers, and if you have this adapter system converter, you can use that with like these dies. These ones come in what they call sizzlets, embosslets, thinlets, framelets, and they do all kinds of different things. I've got a couple different ones to show you here. So what do we have? This one is a sizzlet, so it's just what I was showing you, just a little die cut there. That one is a flower. And then this one is what's called an embosslet. So when you press it, it will cut and emboss all at the same time. So, and it shows you how to use it, place it side down. When you get your papers with your dies, check them out because sometimes it'll give you tips for cutting them. It will show you how to get the best image from them if it does something special like emboss or whatever. Like the new Tim Holtz 3D embossing folders. They are way bigger than a normal embossing folder, like way bigger. And he says it's 3D, so it needs 3 passes. So if you're doing this, you're gonna go 1, back, 2, back, 3. So 3 passes with your 3D embossing folders. System converter is this guy here. You put this on the original red Sizzix machine. It's basically a big magnet. It clicks underneath that silver part that clamps down and makes a big shim so that you can easily cut these thinner dies, because you're going from the originals dies to this thin guy. So you need to have like a super shim, and that's what this system converter is. I don't know if Sizzix still sells them, but my best advice to you guys, if you are a Sizzix product user of any kind of machine, go to their website, sign up for their emails. They have some amazing sales. Over the summer, they had 80% off, like seriously, 80% off. Some of their dies were like $2. So definitely go to their website. They have all kinds of information about all of their machines, and they have videos, they have YouTube videos, they have instructional videos. Always check in with the product creator if you can, because that is where you're going to get your firsthand information, the tools and tips that they want you to know, and so forth. So this is another platform. This is an extended space platform for any of the Sizzix crank machines. So the Big Shot, the Big Kick, any of those things, it will work with those. And you can see here, this one just does different dies. Now look at my plates. My plates have started to bow, and this is a common thing that will happen. You can see it's just starting to bow. Some people say, you know, store them this way, reverse them when you're using it. There's all kinds of tips, but they're still going to bow. It's a piece of acrylic that you are putting through a roller time and time again. That's its job, guys. Through a roller, it's gonna happen that way. The tip that Tim Holtz suggests when you're using, not those ones because you can't really do it, but if you're using like this one, this size, he suggests when you put your die cut on there that you offset it a little bit so that it's not sitting straight like this, that it's kind of turned. As much as you can. It's easier if you have a smaller die, but turn it kind of askew a little bit, and then it will help with that bowing somewhat. But they are going to bow, they are going to crack, they are going to get marred up. It's just the way. I mean, it's acrylic. It's gonna happen. It's not like silicone or something. So this one, these weird plates go with these longer dies. These are the Tim Holtz Alterations dies. Sizzix makes other ones of these that aren't Tim Holtz as well. So there's an extended spacer platform, and it shows you. You will put your platform down, which we have right here. Then you put your plate. Then you put your die face up, or image up. Then you put your paper. Then you put this, and then you roller it through. Hey Roberta, thanks for sprinkling. Yes. Oh good, I'm glad it's informative for you, Sharon. Like I said, it looked like a whole puddle of chaos here, but I really do have like a plan to present it for you guys. So let's move this big machine, and I'll show you a smaller one that Sizzix made. And actually here, I'll show you this one first. So this is another Sizzix machine. It's called the Texture Boutique. And these are so cute and so lightweight and fun when you see these and you think, oh, that's so cute. What a cute die cutter. Wrong. It only embosses. So if you just want to emboss, it's perfect. If you want to die cut, it's not so much. So if you see these out there, I got this one for $2 at a thrift store, and I always thought they were so cute, but I thought, you know, I'm not going to spend the money just to be able to emboss because I like to die cut. But I saw it for $2, you guys, $2. So for $5, I got 2 machines at different times. So deals are out there. Deals are out there everywhere. but make sure you know what they do and what you want to do with them. Because if you're expecting this to be a die cutter, you're going to be seriously disappointed, because all it does is embosses. Now, if you want to emboss and use all of these awesome embossing folders, I'm not saying that's not cool, because it's way cool. You can put all kinds of dry embossed images. I love doing it on envelopes. And old book page. I love doing it on that too. And then you can hit it with some ink over it, and it just looks amazing. It is a cool feature, and like I said, if that's all you want to do, this is awesome. If you don't mind having two machines, you know, maybe you like the quick cuts version of the dies, and you want to also be able to emboss, because quick cuts, in order to emboss, you have to have their little metal ones. It's kind of like two of these put together. It's like two of their dies put together, and there's little texture rivets in there, and then it squishes down, so you still can only emboss in just this little space. So 4x4 space. I guess if you had the extended platform, you could do it again and again and again, so maybe you could make more, but it's not nearly as convenient as something like this, where you just get your embossing folder and roll it on through. So there's that. It's crank style. It's super lightweight. I'm guessing maybe 2 pounds on this one. I did not look that up on their website though. So if you want more information on that, they do still have it on their website. It's on Sizzix website. Definitely go there and look it up. Like I said, guys, I don't get any money or kickbacks or anything from any of these companies. All of this information is either from looking at their website or my own personal use. So yeah, so this is the little guy. Isn't this cute? It's the Sidekick. It comes in 3 different colors. Typically, well, it's been made in 3 different colors. I think right now they're only making it in black. Tim Holtz has recently decided to change most of his products from this brown color that he used for a really long time to now he's changing all of his tools to black. So the one on their website right now is the black one. Okay, sorry guys, had to hydrate. So this little guy is really cute. It does make a vacuum seal. That's what this lever is right here. So this whole bottom is like a suction cup. And as long as you have a flat, smooth surface, it will suction down. There we go. Whoop. It'll suction down so you can't move it anymore, which is nice when you're putting stuff through. It has a 2.5 by 4.5 cutting surface. It uses these plates. Yeah, I'm sending them potential customers. I would love to be an ambassador for Sizzix, honestly, and maybe even for Quick Cuts too, but like I said, Quick Cuts is now part of Lifestyle Crafts, so I don't really know how any of that works. I do have a friend, though, that designed some die cuts for Sizzix, and that was pretty exciting. Sizzix has worked with over, I think they said 20 or 40 different designers to design die cuts, so that's kind of awesome too. They've got a wide range of product library. So the little Sidekick is super cute. You mostly use it with these Sizzlet dies, but you can also use it with the Wafer Thin Dyes as well, because that's, you know, Tim Holtz makes a lot of those. He does make some of these as well. So the way this works, you put your plate in. They always tell you to do this up. I don't know why they want the image up. When I always was learning in the beginning, I always put my image down. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is, but they suggest image up, so let's talk about it that way. Okay, so put your plate, your die cut, your paper, and then your other, and then it just rolls on through. Now, Provocraft made one of these, what do they call it? It was like the Cuddle Kids or something, because their cutter is called the Cuttlebug, and so it's like the Cuddle Kids, I think, and it looked very similar to this. It depends on where you get them, Renee. Some of them, and which style you're getting. Some of these ones that are Tim Holtz dies that are super big will run you anywhere from $20 to $40 new. But you can find them used, especially during a time when scrapbookers have decided, okay, well, I don't scrapbook anymore. I want to get rid of all this stuff. and they dump it literally at garage sales, thrift stores, marketplace. They just get rid of it because that is the one downside with manual die cutters. It takes up space. So I have a whole wall of die cuts. And, you know, some people are switching to the computerized versions. You know, they want a Cricut where they can go into Design Space and have all their designs digitally stored, and then they can press cut, and it mostly does it that easily. I only really want to touch on one thing about Cricuts right now, because I honestly don't feel like I am your best teacher when it comes to teaching you a Cricut. They've changed everything recently. Their cutters are newer. They don't use cartridges anymore. They have everything stored in Design Space. I've played in Design Space a little bit, but with the constraints of my eyes and my vision, I have a really hard time being on computers for any length of time. So, and I've come to realize that my passion is having my hands on the paper. I don't want to be on a computer. I don't want to rely on digital storage to have all of my images. I want to know that when I want this tattered pine cone die from Tim Holtz, I just need to grab it, grab my paper, use my machine, and cut it. That's what I personally like. Now, I can't say that I have dedicated one likeness to one brand or one cutter, because as you see, I have all of these cutters, but I am kind of a die cut nut. The one thing I do want to tell you guys though, while you are out there thrift shopping and garage saling and marketplacing, if you come across Cricuts for sale, one thing to remember, anything with the cartridge is old technology. Provocraft does not honor any kind of services or anything. They don't do any warranties. They don't do any any troubleshooting or anything for anything with a cartridge anymore. So if you have a Cricut Expression, if you have a Cricut Expression 2, and I think there's a couple of other ones, they won't honor any of those service arrangements or anything for any of those old machines anymore. So it sickens me a little bit that people are out there trying to sell their cartridges for $30 and $40. I've even seen them for $20, and that's still kind of high in my mind, because most of the cartridges sold for $29.99. Some of them, you know, if they were a brand that has like a licensure, like a cartoon or some little character that's famous, they can cost more, and I get it, but you know, you can't try to get all of your money back. I've seen people asking $300 and $400 for their Cricut Expression, which is the old one, and all of these cartridges, and they're like, but it comes with all of this stuff. Well, so what? You can't use any of it online. And I mean, if you're not somebody who wants to hook it up online, you can still use the cartridges and cut with those images. That's great. But it's still yesterday's technology. It's like selling a rotary phone and saying, yeah, if you have a landline, you can still use this phone and it will still make calls. It will, but it's still old technology. You can't expect to get Android price for a rotary phone, in my opinion. So just be aware of that when you guys are out there shopping. I do sell packages of those. The cutter that I use to make those is mostly the Revolution, the little black one that I had out. You can use this one as well. The only problem you might run into with this one is that if you're... Where did they go? Wow, this is just like crafting, you guys, even though it's just a demo. Okay, here we go. If your die cut is bigger than this 2.5 by 4.5 space, like this one, you can't cut it in here because it doesn't fit. See, this sticks out, and you don't want to you don't want to force it or cram it through, because it will break your die. They will damage. These wafer thin dies are a little more fragile. I wouldn't say they're delicate, like you can drop it. It's not, I mean, but they will bend. If you overlap them on a platform, like say you have 3 or 4 of them on a platform and you overlap them, they will get damaged. And then when I cut the images that I cut, I usually cut these out of book page, really old vintage book page. And it takes a long time, you guys, because when you use these dyes, just send me a message, Renee. We'll work it out. When you use these dyes, Sizzix says that you can cut a single piece of cardstock, 1 piece of paper like book page, metallic foil, and vellum, but it's all single. So, you know, if you want 15 of these, you got to run it through 15 different times. So, yes, you're welcome. So, you know, sometimes when you are buying die cuts from somebody, like just the paper products, there's a lot of time invested there. You might not know it, but there is, especially if they're using these. If they are using these in a bigger machine, they can likely cut 4 or 5 at a time, depending on what paper that they're using. If you're using super old vintage book page, my suggestion is to just do 1 at a time if the paper is super frail. Most of my book page is from the 80s or earlier, and I've noticed if I try to cut it in multiples, it falls apart. So, you know, yeah, there is definitely some things to think about. So my biggest suggestions to you is to make sure you know what you want to cut, how big you want to cut. Do you want options? You know, do you plan to just cut these, or do you want to be able to cut anything? Do you want a bigger machine? Do you want a little machine? Yeah, the Cuttlebug, their die cuts look like this. They're little metal dies, and they've got more foam on the bottom. So that foam is called ejection foam. It just helps the image come out of there. There's all kinds of tips and tricks. People have done crazy things. They've used dryer sheets and whatever. Sizzix makes this awesome little brush. When you put your cuts in there, you're gonna have little pieces to peel out or weed out. I use usually like a little lint roller and it picks them all right up. Or you want it all. Girl, that's where I'm at. I have it all, but in bits and pieces here and there. I don't use it all though, you guys. Like this one, this is a second machine for me. I have a different sidekick. So this one I need to destash. And 2 of my quick cut squeeze ones I need to destash. Yeah, so constantly changing things. I probably should destash my Cuttlebug machine wherever that is at the moment. Oh, there it is. Let me show it to you guys. I just put my eyes on it. It's at my die cutting station. Who would have known, right? You're coming over. Okay, well, I live all the way in Washington. I know most of you are East Coast. It's a long drive for a die cut machine, but you know, you could definitely come on over. Rent a bus and bring some of the other ladies with you. Okay, wow, that one's heavier. Christine's coming over too. See, like I said, now you're gonna need a bus, cause. Okay, so this is the one by Cricut, Provo Craft. It's the Cuttlebug. I didn't plan on chatting about this one today, so I don't have all the specs, but it is in my YouTube video because I did talk about it there. It's called a Foldaway Machine. You still have your crank. This one you might not find so often because it is one of their anniversary editions. It's the Anna Griffin one, so it's got that pretty gold on it. It is super heavy. Comparatively to some of these other ones, maybe just because I was playing with just this sidekick one, although that one still has a little bit of weight to it. Did I write down? Yeah, this little sidekick one is 2 pounds still, so. Oh, sweet. Actually, Rhonda, I'd rather come to your house. I could use some beach time. Assuming you live near the beach. I guess I shouldn't assume that in California. California is a big place, not all just beaches. That's why everybody says, oh, you live in Washington, you must go to Space Needle all the time. No. We don't. It's about, I don't know, an hour and a half drive for us. We go sometimes, but usually more than that, we go to Pike's Place. Okay, so this one is the one by Cricut. This is the Cuttlebug. It does the same thing. It has its little plates and makes a sandwich. Now, you're not always going to necessarily remember the sandwiches. That's why I suggest when you get your machine, if you got a new one or if it came with it, keep this little pamphlet because it tells you using the originals or Big's dies, using the Clearlits or the Sizzix dies, using the multi-purpose platform. Hey, Nick. Yeah, he lives in Seattle, never goes in the city, see? And we even live in the same state, and I don't see him very often, so I guess it's just the way the world works. Okay, so if you did not get a brochure or you lost it or you threw it away, because I know how we are, go to their websites, and a lot of times, this is for my Embosser. It is a no crank motorized manual die cutter. Manual, motorized. It's got a motor and it runs it through, so you don't have to crank. So there is called a Big Shot Express that does that too. It's a little more money. You have to have power because you're not the power. So, but I have an Embosser, which is kind of the same thing. But you can go to most of these websites and print out your sandwich menu, if you will. And I just kind of keep this one hanging around. This is the one for my Embosser, and so it tells me the layers. Platform C, the cutting die, my material, and platform A, and then I run it all through. And that does the Sizzix cutting dies. Cuttlebug dies, thin metal dies. See, the thin metal dies, you've got to have a whole lot more in your sandwich because they're super thin. So that's why a lot of times my thin metal dies I don't do on this die cutter because look at all this. This is ridiculous. When I can just put it on my little Revolution, I just put it on there, it magnetizes, and I put my material on my one acrylic plate and good to go. So, you know, sometimes these ones that do it all, they do it all, yes, but you have to go through all of this to get your die cut. So, have I royally confused everybody? Oh, wow, yeah, you're in New York. That's way far from me. Other side of the states. Okay. So is everybody royally confused, or this was fun? Okay, good. Now Sizzix makes a machine like this that folds up too. It is called, I think it's called a Foldaway, Big Shot Foldaway. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing, and it just folds up to save space. Honestly, I mean, I haven't seen the Foldaway, but having this Cuttlebug, it doesn't save me that much space. I mean, look, really. If you've got this big thing out, being able to fold it up like this, it has, which you can, I guess, fold in too, but still, it still has stuff sticking out. It's gonna still take up space. So, I mean, I guess as more compact as they can make it, I guess, you know, whatever. But really, it still takes up space. But it is pretty handy to use. It does still use the sandwiches, and you can use most of the dies in here. I say most because you are limited by the size of the platform that it allows. So the Sizzix, which one is it? The Sizzix Big Shot Plus, you get up to an 8.5 by 11 platform. So it's massive. And you can use all of those huge dies. Okay, cool. So you couldn't remember how to layer yours. Yeah, the layering, the sandwiches, like I said, the sandwich menu, it's going to be different for most of the cutters. So it really depends on which cutter you have. I can't even tell you that usually it's an acrylic plate on the top and the bottom. I mean, it kind of is, but sometimes you'll be using one of these platforms on the bottom, or you'll be using, you know, like in order to cut these long skinny ones, I have to have this platform. Then I have to have my plates, my 2 acrylic plates, and my die. And you have to have the right shape to match this. I mean, I've tried to do this on my other one and it's not long enough, so you know, even trying to set it sideways, then I get frustrated because I only get a piece of it and it bends your dies. And honestly, these, when you purchase a manual die cutter, your dies are your investment. The dies, not the die cuts, but the dies themselves. Those are the pieces you're going to be able to use over and over and over again, just like you would a pair of scissors. So thank you for sharing that out there. Appreciate it. Every time you buy a die, whether you buy it new or used or whatever, it's an investment because it's not like a pack of stickers. It's not consumable. You're not going to use it up. As long as you use it and care for it appropriately, you're gonna have it for a while. Now, sometimes some of these will get worn out, especially if you don't use them right. And you know, at that point, I would contact the company and ask them to either help you or, you know, sometimes they might replace it. I can't always vouch for their customer service because I don't work for them, but I've had good experiences with customer service. But you can see I have damaged this one because I've used it not with the right platform. So, and if you use these with the wrong things, like the wrong materials or mediums, like these thinner ones are not designed to cut chipboard and heavy things. They might still be able to do some thin fabric, single pieces of paper, but the bigs dies, these bigger guys, this is what's cool about those. You can cut thick material like cardstock, chipboard, fabric, foam, magnet, leather, metallic foil, and limited use of sandpaper. I don't know why you'd want to cut sandpaper, but hey, it's all about mixed media, right? And that is right from the Sizzix website. So those are the things. I've also cut aluminum cans. Yeah, I mean, I've cut through corrugated cardboard and chipboard, and yeah, it's fun. That's why I love having these bigger dies. I do have bigger options. So, but if you're not somebody who does those things, then you don't need that big bulky machine. You know, if you've never die cutted before and you just want to get your feet wet and see, this is a perfect machine. You know, it's small, it's 2 pounds, and the worst case scenario is you'll buy dies for this, and if you decide later that you do want a bigger one, those dies will still work in that bigger machine. So it's not a complete loss or waste. You can still use some of what you've purchased. All right, you guys. We've talked about all kinds of things. What time are we at? Yeah, it's been about an hour. Awesome. Any more questions? Oh yes, Rhonda, you can still buy the bigger dies. Tim Holtz, I think he just came out with what's called Chapter 3. He does still make these bigger dies, and in fact, they've even made them bigger, like bigger. I have some of these. I need to get some bigger platforms because I got a whole bunch of dies, but I've never used dies this big. I got them in a big lot off of Marketplace and OfferUp. And I saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know they made them that big. So yeah, but they do still make them. He does do a lot of the thinlets. So the wafer thin metal dies. And what I really love about his dies is that they do come in this little envelope. It's a clear plastic envelope, and then he will tell you he goes to Lowe's or Home Depot and he gets the vent covers that are magnetic and just cuts it up and put it in here. I just bought magnet sheet off of Amazon. My husband did for me, and then your dies stick to this. Why is this important? Because this package has 6 pieces, which isn't that bad. Some of them though will have like 12 or 18 pieces, and then if you go to take them out and they're sliding all over, and yeah, it's just crazy. It is nice to have them on a little magnet sheet in here, or I've seen some people even use magnet sheets on their walls and they'll hang their dies up there. Oh, and I wanted to mention a couple of other things I'm going to show you guys before we go. A couple of other terms. What did I do with them? Boy, I've made a huge mess. I'm not even crafting, guys, and I made a huge mess. I guess that's just kind of the way it works. I wanted to show you what nesting dies are, because you'll hear that term a lot. Eek. Okay, let me stand up and see if I can see where I put them. I had like a handful. There they are. Okay. Just had to move one thing. Okay, so yes, do register your Big Shot. They will extend that warranty for you. At least that's what their packaging and their website says. So when you hear the term nesting dies, it's basically a whole bunch of the same shape and just a bunch of different sizes, and they all nest inside of each other. So you'll see, like, there's hearts. They make them in all shapes and sizes, and even tags. So this one is a Sizzix one. Whoops, it's got Ellis in there. So it's just nesting dies. They fit inside of each other and make different shapes and sizes. Okay, yeah, so nesting dies are a good investment. Sometimes you've got to watch your biggest size, because if your die cutter doesn't fit this biggest size, some of these dies aren't going to work for you. You'll have to decide if, you know, purchasing the whole thing is worth it for you for the ones that you can use in your cutter, if you don't have the biggest ones. I do enjoy them. I like stacking them sometimes. Sometimes it's nice to make little designs out of them. And then sometimes I don't even use them to nest inside of each other in my items. I use them so that I know I've got the size that I need, if that makes sense. Sometimes you might want this big tag, but sometimes you might just need a little tag, and it's better to, you know, it might be more economical to just buy one package of dies versus all of these different sizes of tags. So, hey Justin, it's Tool Talk Tuesday, Justin. Okay, and then you'll see these other ones. I'm not sure where this came from. This was gifted to me, but I'm guessing it was maybe from Wish or AliExpress, because a lot of their dies will come like this. They're all connected, and you can pop them apart. I haven't used this one yet, so I can't say for sure, but they are a lot thinner. I know a lot of people that use dies from AliExpress. The only thing I will say about it is that I know sometimes, I don't want to say one company or another or whoever or whatever, but I have heard it from designers on their videos that some of these companies are offering these designers designs at like way cut prices. It's kind of like buying a knockoff handbag or something. They're stealing these designs and selling them because they're in a different country and copyright isn't an issue for them. So just be aware of that and mindful to support the designers that you are fond of and admire, because let's face it, that's how they keep designing and making cool designs that we like. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I just wanted to show you guys, though, that sometimes when you buy stamp sets from a lot of companies, Hero Arts does a lot of it, Lawn Fawn, Echo Park has some, Stampin' Up! Does some, I think Close to My Heart does some. So you can stamp your image and then you can put the little die cut around it and put a little piece of painter's tape or washi's tape and run it through, and then you don't have to cut this out. So it's a lifesaver when you have all these little pieces, and you can just stamp them all out and put your little die cuts on there and run them through your machine. So you'll see a lot of stamps now will be coming with, sometimes the stamps will only have 1 or 2 die cuts. They won't have it for all of their images, but they'll have it for their most intricate ones usually. So that is something nice to watch as well. Most of those are wafer thin. So you want a die cutter that will do wafer thin, and most of the die cutters do wafer thin. It's just the larger Sizzix ones that are specific. Yes, Sue, I have this Tool Talk Tuesday that we've done today, and I also have another video on my YouTube, which I will link after I post the live, because I talked a little more in detail about the Cuttlebug machine. I talked about the Sidekick machine. I talked about a lot of these machines that I have in a little more detail, so you can kind of see it in a couple different ways. All right, any more questions? I'm loving this, you guys. I hope you guys are too. I really enjoy having a place that you can come and talk about tools and ask the questions that you've been trying to learn, and see some of the different stuff. I don't claim to have every tool, and there are definitely tools I don't have out there. There are so many other die cutting machines out there. Believe it or not, there are really a ton of them out there. I think Stampin' Up! Has some tie-ins with Sizzix, and they have their own cutter. There's something called a Boss Cut. There's I learned about one the other day because it's in a quilting stuff. It's called a Go Baby, but it's more for quilting. So there's a lot of different cutters out there. What I would say to you though is make sure, even if you're at a yard sale or a thrift shop or something, just look it up real quick on Google and see what the price point is so that you don't get robbed. And most of the stuff you can still find the consumable pieces for, the plates and whatever, the platforms. Yeah, Spellbinders also makes theirs. Another popular one is the Gemini. The Gemini, as far as I am aware of, does not make a machine that will fit these bigger dies. They are wafer thin only. And I think they might do ones like these, but nothing big like these Sizzix ones. So if those big Sizzix ones aren't a draw for you, then don't worry about it. I love my big steel ruled dies. I like being able to fold a piece of 12 by 12 textured cardstock in 4 and cut 4 of whatever I'm cutting at one time, which is super nice. Again, if you're using vintage papers and stuff, it doesn't quite work like that, but yeah, this is one of my favorite dies. This is just a frame, not really a big deal. You could easily do this with a ruler and a sharp blade. But like I said, it is super nice. I can cut 4 of them at one time with my textured thick cardstock, and then I get this frame and I get 4 little rectangles that I can easily turn into tags, and I can move on about my day, and I love it. Love it. All right, everybody, if nobody else has any questions, let me make sure, I'm going to scroll here and make sure I got all the comments that I needed to get. Good, good, good. I think I caught up with you. I don't think I missed anybody. Go to the Sizzix website. If you are a Sizzix user, go to their website. Even if you're not, go to their website and just kind of browse. They have a spot called resources. They have a thing that shows you like a user library. You can see things people have made with die cuts. They also have a sales area too, so you can kind of get an idea of what the brand new prices are. Just be market aware. A lot of us, I know we're thrifty people, we're crafty people, that's what we do, right? We are thrifty. I get it. I like to buy secondhand. I like to keep stuff from the landfill. I like to get a good deal. I recently got a huge, wonderful deal. I like doubled my Tim Holtz collection, which was just amazing. And your dies are like your tools. Your tools are your investment. Really, they are, because as long as you use them and care for them, they're not going to be consumed. They're not going to be used up. So you can use them over and over and over again as long as you take care of them and use them accordingly. So I feel like they are good investments, and something that, you're not going to run out and buy 50 of them all at once unless if you get a good deal. So, it's something you can collect, and something that you can build a collection of over time. But like I said, the one big downside is it really does take up a lot of space. If I had to say anything bad about them, is that it does take up a lot of space. And resale of them is not so good. you know, this unit here, I think it sells for, this Sidekick, I think it sells for $40 on the Sizzix website, and people are like, I'll give you $5. I'm like, really? I paid 40. I might as well just keep it. But that's kind of been my mentality, is that, you know, I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it. And then I've got a really cluttery space because I have 2 of these, and I have 2 of those, and I have 3 of this. And yeah, guys, I seriously need to destash some stuff. So watch for those. It might be coming up. I might have a destash day. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, just be market aware. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. If it's something that interests you, watch a few YouTube videos, watch how people use it. If a YouTube video you're watching is not by Sizzix, and again, this Facebook Live is not by Sizzix, so I totally encourage you to go to the Sizzix website and get your information firsthand, read up on it, you know, verify my research. If you don't know if you can cut something with one of your dyes, check their website. They will tell you. That's kind of been my experience all along. I'm like, oh, can I cut pop cans? Can I cut leather? Can I cut this big fabric? And you go to their website and it tells you all of it. So I haven't really found something I wanted to cut that I couldn't yet. I guess maybe thin pieces of wood. I don't think you could cut that because it would probably crack and break. Tool Destash Tuesday. Oh, I see how it is, Christine. Trying to help me get that going. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, maybe at the end segment of one of them, we can do that for sure. That would help me out a lot, I think. Yes. So also, if there is a tool that you'd like me to cover, send me a message or make a comment on one of my Tool Talk Tuesday posts and let me know. If I have it, if I'm knowledgeable about it, if I can figure it out, I will be happy to talk about it and bring it to this platform here so we can all chat about it and learn about it together. I've actually learned a lot of things doing these Tool Talk Tuesdays too, because it's not very often that I get out like all 3 of my crocodiles at once and compare them. Like, I didn't really realize all of the differences per se. I do know a lot of the differences about my die cutters. I'm pretty die cut savvy. I've been doing it for a lot of years. I've had a lot of them. One of the biggest reasons I had a lot of them was because in my store, I wanted to give people the opportunity to come in and see them, use them, and figure out which one they liked best and which one would be best for them before they purchased them. So we had them out at a lot of crops and a lot of our classes and so forth, so that people could put their hands on them and see what they're like before they make any investment in a purchase, because it is an investment, and it is an investment in your space as well. So it takes up real estate and it does cost money. There is no way getting around any of that. Sometimes you can be given the older ones. Sometimes, like I said, people are going, oh, I don't scrapbook anymore, and they just dump it all away because they want their space back. So, you know, watch for those kind of deals. I watch OfferUp, I watch Marketplace, I watch the thrift stores. And sometimes people will just message me, hey, do you still papercraft? Do you want all this junk? And I'm like, yes, I want your junk. Bring it to me. So yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we will plan a destash day for sure, because I need to do some destashing. The only problem with the destash online, of course, is we have to deal with shipping. So shipping costs would be there. And I feel like the best way to do most of those shipping would be a flat rate box, so it protects the cutters and so forth. But I do have some die cuts that I've got like some of these sets that I've got duplicates of. So if you already have a cutter and you can cut these, I have some duplicates that I need to destash. I have stuff, guys. I have stuff. Anyways, I hope this was what you guys were hoping it was going to be. I hope you've learned some things. I hope that you will continue to go out and continue to learn some things and see what's on the market out there. There are more dyes than Tim Holtz dyes, just so you know, but I'm like a Tim Holtz super fan, so Do not just give them away. You gave some tools away to your daughter and her husband threw them away. Oh gosh. You know, yeah, I've had people contact me and say, I'm so done with scrapbooking, and they give me all their stuff. And yeah, I mean, I guess some people lose interest or don't have space or their life changes or whatever it is. I've seen things at estate sales and so forth. So yeah, stuff is being passed around out there. So just keep your eyes open. There's a lot of different ways to get things, but definitely if you have any kind of a machine that will use Sizzix die cuts, they have sales like 80% off, 60% off, and they're constant. So you know, sign up for their emails. I don't normally like to sign up for places' emails, but I do sign up for these bigger companies like Sizzix. I have an Echo Park one. I think Hero Arts. A few of those places I have trusted with my email, and I don't feel like I get spammed, but I love knowing when their sales are, knowing when their warehouse sales are. Those are definitely things that are money savers, especially when it's a brand new item. If you still have a Tuesday morning, they have a lot of dies out there too. If you see any Darice, D-A-R-I-C-E dies or embossing folders, the Darice was bought out, I think, by Michael, somebody said. So I don't know what's going to be happening with that brand per se, but there may be a lot of items out there. I know one lady, she bought a whole huge truckload of stuff that was all Darice stuff, and she was selling it on one of these Facebook groups that I belonged to. So there's a lot of different ways to get your hands on this stuff. eBay has some stuff. You will find some, especially for some of the quick cut stuff, they will say it's retired, so you can't get it anymore. Well, a lot of the stuff is retired because a lot of the companies have merged and so forth. But you just have to decide if you like the image well enough to pay the price they're asking, I guess is what it's going to come down to. And you got to decide what you're going to use. Don't just go buy the first thing you see, the first thing you can get your hands on, unless if it's a super good deal, like $2 or $3, I'm telling you. My daughter was like, Mom, why did you buy another die cutter? I'm like, well, it just happened that way. $2 and $3, I couldn't pass it up. If that kind of a deal happens, buy it up, because you're probably not going to find another deal quite like that. But if you are buying them new, do your research. It's just like buying a new computer or phone or whatever. You know, you want to know what you're buying, and you want to make sure it's something you're going to use. I use my manual die cuts all the time, so I feel like for me it's a good use of space. But if you're somebody who's maybe going to use it once in a while, maybe one of these littler ones would be better for you if you're not going to buy a huge collection. And then, like I said, if you've got the littler one and you buy the littler dies and you decide you want a bigger one, you can still use those dies because that will work in the bigger machine. So just like a trimmer, you got to figure out how you're going to use it, what you're going to cut, and what you need. So yes. All right, you guys. Well, I hope you have a really great rest of the day. I don't know what kind of tool we're going to talk about next Tuesday, but I will figure it out between now and then. If you guys have some suggestions, let me know. Happy to take some suggestions. And yeah, now I have to go clean up this mess and have lunch. Got to find the desk under here, you guys. If you're new here, welcome and thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit the screen and hit those little dots up there, and favorite and save and all that fun stuff, so you'll know when I'm here next time. And if you wouldn't mind pouring the coffee out there so people know about my channel, this Facebook page is still growing. My YouTube channel has over 100 videos over there. It's Frapps and Scraps, just like the name here. So if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, definitely go check it out. I will link that video on Manual Die Cutting 101 here. I covered kind of the same stuff, but I think it felt a little more organized. I don't know. So definitely check that out. I got to do editing over there, guys. Here it's rough, it's raw, it's real, it's me. Not to say that's not over there, but I got to edit. So you guys get to hear my giggles and my drinking water and look at my organizational chaos. Yeah. But anyways, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to talking with you guys on Tool Talk Tuesdays. And I will see you next Tuesday or sometime sooner, depending on what I'm working on. I still have some boho books to finish, so it will be sometime sooner. Watch for YouTube videos and hit that bell notification so it will hopefully tell you guys when I'm here and when I'm there. So thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love hanging out with you guys. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it as well. So. All right, for reals this time. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next week.